In today's world, there are so many things that can be addictive, but something not too many people think about is purchasing things online, or rather microtransactions. In fact, right now governments around the world are discussing if things like loot boxes are actually gambling. Now whether they are or aren't really isn't important. The bigger issue is that they can be addictive, much like drugs, alcohol, and even gambling. But I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself. First, let's go back and discuss exactly what a microtransaction is.
That's right, folks. Come on, come all, for the new greatest invention, microtransactions. What's that you say? You don't know what a microtransaction is? Well, dear viewer, it's simple. Microtransactions are a type of business model, you see, where users can spend a small amount of cash for a small amount of digital content. They could be simple things like outfits and skins for their games, or if developers wanted to be a bit more devilish, they could lock certain features behind these paywalls as well. Whether for good or evil, I'm sure that these microtransactions will take over the world.
And take over the world, they certainly have. In today's world, microtransactions are everywhere, and one of the biggest places that you can find them is in the mobile market. In fact, it's probably hard to find any app that doesn't have some sort of microtransactions that are offered inside of it. Not that they're inherently a bad thing though. In fact, they help support developers, and if done right, they can make games and apps free for everyone. But it's not till recently that developers have actually started to take this business model seriously, and in doing so, they're taking advantage of you, the consumer. These practices are everywhere, and they've even started to become a bit more manipulative, especially when they invaded the mainstream gaming market. With games like Battlefront 2 and Shadow of War showing us that some companies aren't doing this to keep their games alive anymore, and that it's more about trying to make as much money off of you as possible. But what are these manipulative things, and how do they tie into addiction? Well, I'm glad that you're curious, because I'm going to help you go over the manipulative microtransactions and how they affect you. They may come in different shapes and sizes, but I've narrowed it down to 3 different types: pay to play, pay to win, and loot boxes. The first to go over is pay to play. This is when games offer themselves pretty cheap or even free, but after a while of playing, you'll notice that you can't really do much else. It'll say that you've ran out of energy and that you can't complete the task unless you either pay a small amount of money or you wait a few hours for the energy to refill. With long wait times, it may seem smart just to pay a few dollars and progress further in the game, but this is ultimately how they're going to get you. You'll pay a few dollars here and a few dollars there, and well, look at that, you've already spent quite a bit of money. And while it's annoying to spend a lot of money on a game that intentionally locks you away with a time limit, it is nowhere near as bad as a game that makes you pay to win. Pay to win is exactly how it sounds. These games have some mechanic in it that makes it so you can purchase your way to the top. In some games, like the previously mentioned Battlefront 2, users had the ability to buy upgrades with real money rather than earning them through gameplay. Not only did these upgrades actually affect the odds of someone winning or losing, but they also made it more enticing, since it would normally take hours of gameplay to get to that same point. It makes people more likely to just shell out some cash instead of actually playing this game. And one of the biggest mechanics to take advantage of pay to win is loot boxes. When you explain what loot boxes are, you'll almost get the same explanation as a pack of trading cards. You have no idea what you're getting when you buy it, but what's inside could be great and worth the money, though it's more likely that you're going to get common items. But hey, if you buy another one and you get another shot of getting something really good. And that's really what the developers are hoping for. They're hoping that you get caught up in this game and spend all of your money on the loot boxes. Instead of just buying the one item that you wanted, now you have to play this annoying game of luck and just hope that you get what you want. Ultimately, things like microtransactions might not be classified as gambling, but even though it might sound silly, they could still be dangerously addictive. And finally, just be cautious on how you spend your money. If you're the kind of person who gets addicted to things easily, or the kind of person who can't control themselves when spending lots of money, maybe you should ask a family member and get some help.